Alright, Ferrets, take two because someone might have ran out of disk space on his computer. Have you heard about the Test Squadron versus SaltEMike regarding the PVE servers?
You know what? I find it that you should mention. I think we were just talking about that 5 minutes ago.
Funny man. Alright.
It's 2025. It's time CIG.
So, yes.
Because Ferris has been a smart ass and been trolling, we're just going to jump straight into it. So Mike and Montoya have been trading barbs on Twitter lately because Montoya made a video going through and talking about PVE servers. We'll go through and we'll run the first few minutes just to give you an idea of what he's talking about, and then we'll talk about Mike's reaction, and then I'll give you my 2 cents.
Considered giving us a PVE server in Star Citizen. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I am Montoya. I run Test Squadron, which is Star Citizen's largest player guild. What I'm going to say here...
Can someone please knock Test Squadron off as the top guild for Star Citizen? Just so that Montoya has to change his intro. And I get it from a guy that says, hello guys, every time he starts a video. But, you know, I'd just love to see it once as where Montoya has to sit there and admit that he's not the biggest biggest guild.
Is my opinion. Feel free to disagree. I don't speak on behalf of every single person in my guild, nor do I speak on behalf of everyone who plays the game Star Citizen, but I do feel the time has come for CIG to listen to its player base, who have been howling about this for years now. Give us a PvE option. If you want some PvE experience in this game, why not? So the reason that I bring this up today is I saw this on Reddit. Now this argument, this discussion has come up 1,000 times in the past, and today it's coming to us from Mr. Payne, who says here's a love letter and maybe a goodbye to Star Citizen. He goes on to say that he's supported them for many years, he's a developer himself, he understands it all, and he's basically reached a point in his life where time is important. I think we can all understand this. When I started following this game, I had 0 kids. I now have 2 kids in the 5th and 6th grade. I know a lot of you have mysteriously also aged along with me. So back when you were 20 and you had all the free time in the world, you're 30 now and you don't. It happens. I know. So let's read what he says. He finds himself stepping away. He says, it's burnout after many years in the verse. Maybe it's the evolving mechanics which I feel are more tedious than rewarding. I once loved the freedom, exploring, unwinding after a long day, immersing myself in limitless universe. But now the game seems to be heading in a direction that demands more patience than I have to give. And I think we can all resonate with that too. When you want to go play this game, with the bugs and all, I know, look, this game is beautiful. Listen, it's, I think when you have 2 kit, go...
So let's just skip, right? He says the increasing risk of losing in PvP, the long prep times just to get off the ground, the ever-growing presence of griefers, it's all making the experience more frustrating than fun. Right? So let's save Montoya from going and doing his speech. Now, here's a video that has been put out by SaltEMike, and let's see what SaltEMike has to say about it.
Right? I don't want them wasting a shit ton of time doing dumb stuff like making a PvE server just for fucking yellow and black people, right?
So what he's talking about there is yellow and black people. He's not being racist, by the way. He's talking about Test Squadron, which is their colours. Their colours are yellow and black. Montoya sort of like gaslights him a little bit here and turns around and says, like, you know, like, what do you have against yellow and black people? It seems like he's actually taken that video down there. But what I was going to say was at the end of the day is, look, to be honest, I have to agree with Mike here. And someone please don't send this video to Mike because I'll never hear it down. But I'm agreeing with him. We don't need PvE servers. And I actually said this to Montoya. And here is my response here. I wrote, so I'd actually agree with SaltEMike, and I can't believe I just said those words. But with Elite Dangerous splitting the servers of PvE and PvP, engagement dropped. A lot of people believe it was the one thing that started the downfall of Elite Dangerous. He responded, I would disagree. Elite started going downhill when Odyssey flopped. I like the PvE option. I spent many hours in VR Arena Commander. Why did it die? I feel that Arena offered the best VR PvP spaceship experience ever made. Now, I would actually disagree with him here. It actually started going downhill before Odyssey. If we actually bring up Elite, Dangerous, player counts over the years. And can we change that, say, from 2020 to 2018? And we actually also, with the help of ChatGPT, right, when did the game Elite Dangerous bring in separate PvP/PVE servers? Right, it doesn't have different servers that splits the, okay, different game modes. Okay, when did they split the game modes? Since its initial release on December 16, 2014, had 3 primary game modes. Okay, I thought they split it. Then it split the game modes from all in the one game mode to game mode. Yes, Elite originally launched with a single unified game mode. Okay, so it did. So, with that environment, however, there were not entirely separate game modes, but rather different ways to interact. So in 2015, groups like Morbius created private PvE environments only. In 2018, people pushed for a full separation of PvP and PvE. Right, so I'll put this on the screen here so you guys can actually see it. So it's roughly saying around 2018 or so, right? So if we go back and we wind this back, say to 2018, you can see at around the 21st of May, it dropped. If we go to say 2014. So it was always getting around the sort of like around the 7,008, got up to around 27 on May 21st. What happened in May 2021 for Elite Dangerous? Expansion with the release of Odyssey, right? So that's the bump that we had for Odyssey. Before then, it was sort of maxing out at around 21. So actually, Montoya is probably right. Actually, he's it was around here. It was around 18,000. Then it dropped off, and then it jumped up again to around 10. So around 2015, it's sort of. Okay, and that's when groups started making PVE. Okay, so I was technically right, actually. you can see here is when they sort of November 2015 is so in 2015 they started making PVE servers and enforcing no PvP rules in the groups. Right, and then since then it basically dropped. So we went from around 10 to 13 to 15,000 down to about 5. Now, obviously, too, keep in mind this is total servers, right? So this is total players. So we don't know how many people are on live, how many people are on the PVE servers. So yeah, there was a video, Elite's Dangerous. Killed by PVE server. Yeah, I don't know. Look, to be honest, I think splitting the base would be bad. Like I say, those were total numbers too, right? So that doesn't mean how many people were playing on PvE, how many people playing PvP. Say it's a 50-50 split or a 60-40 split. And say they have, say 10,000 numbers per server at the moment, right? If you split it 60-40, well then there's going to be 6,000 on one server, 4,000 on the other. It's got to hurt the game. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on this whole PvP, PvE separate servers for Star Citizen, Fitz?
My honest opinion, I don't see why they can't go the same way that Elite Dangerous went. Give us a separate servers where we could play with our friends. I mean, it doesn't have to be a separate PvE only server, but it can be a separate a server that you can only get into if you have permission from the owner.
So are you talking about more like actual client hosting servers or actual servers that CIG runs?
Like however they do it with Elite Dangerous.
So peer-to-peer, right. So that's client hosted. So basically what would happen was I would start a server and then you would join the server that I invited you to. But I'd be running the server.
Ran out of more space.
No.
Oh, okay. That was probably on my end then.
Yeah, I didn't hear it.
My bad. Okay.
So that would be that I would host the server and then you would join the server that I'm hosting. Like what Space Engineers does. Yeah. So at the end of the day, yeah, look, my problem with it is it's going to improve dev time, or it's going to increase dev time because they have to go through and program all this for a start. So you're going to take longer to build the game. But secondly, I do worry, like if you start going through and doing this, are you going to start seeing players on the live server drop off? Now, Montoya's argument at the time was that, well, we have a PTU, a PU, a tech preview at the moment. We already have different servers that are sort of splitting up the player base. And my response to that was, well, that's true. We don't know how many people are actually sitting there actually going through and playing on these PV, like these test previews and stuff, these tech preview channels, because it doesn't seem like there's a lot. They've literally mentioned several times about Evocardi and even the waves and the PTUs actually not having a lot of people playing them because people don't use them. So I don't know if that's a valid point. But yeah. Here he is saying here, SaltEMike, we're getting triggered that even though we have
right? I don't want them wasting.
Even though we have an Evo, PTU, Live, and a tech preview server, the idea of a PVE field will split the community at the Star Citizen. Yes, but how many people are on Evo? How many people are on PTU? How many people are on tech preview? I don't know if there's many people on those at all. I think most people are playing on the PU.
A shit ton of time doing dumb stuff like making a PVE server just for fucking yellow and black people, right?
So yeah, at the end of the day, like I say, it's I don't know if that's a decent argument, to be honest. But I don't know. So what are your thoughts? Do you reckon you're all for it? Are you for the separate servers?
Yeah.
What if it
I
adds?
would have said so.
What if it adds another 2 years to the development?
Adds another 2 years to the 10 plus years of a development. I mean, I don't think it's going to really make much of a difference right now.
No, but like at the end of the day, that still, like if we keep asking Chris to do stuff like this, we can't get upset over Star Citizen taking so long.
No, but at least now we can actually be like, hey, we did ask them to finally do this, so that would be on that would be on like us for that part. But yeah, eventually I would say like eventually I would like them to consider toying with the idea of separate servers.
So someone's saying here that the Star Citizen PVE server debate, this is Zero, is the silliest thing yet. Anyone that understands half of what it would take to create a full PVE environment where players couldn't negatively affect one another in any ways are not even worth discussing. And he is right. There is a lot to it. It is a lot to go through and make PVE servers only.
Yeah, but like, if Elite's dangerous, I cannot do it. I don't see why Star Citizen can't.
Well, the reason is because at the end of the day, that when they designed Elite Dangerous, when they originally made it, it was set up for that. It was easily modified to do that. So Elite Dangerous always ran from a peer-to-peer system, where Star Citizen has always run from a server system. So yeah, it's a lot harder to do it for Star Citizen than it is with, like, for example, my game that I'm making, right? I'm going through and I'm making a peer-to-peer Steam system at the moment. Now, yes, I will also be going through and doing a universe, or a persistent universe. But the thing is that at the end of the day, is that is a whole bunch of more coding that has to be added. I'm literally programming both in. When Star Citizen, when they made it, they only made it with the one system. So yeah, it is a lot more complicated to do. I will admit that. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know, like someone turned around, someone had an actual good idea, someone turned around and said that we don't need a PVE server, we just need more actual sort of better crime stat reporting system. We need like fractions and stuff like that in the game, so that if you go through and you attack someone that's a member of a fraction, for example, the people of Pyro, then you would become hunt wanted by the whole of the people of Pyro. So there'd be NPCs, AI, and players. So I do think that fractions would probably help a lot when it comes to this sort of system. But I don't know. Anything else we want to add before we jump off?
No, I think that's about it.
No worries. Alright, guys, let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Fez and I are kind of separated on this one. I think it's a bad idea. Fez likes the idea. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comment. Who do you agree with? But yeah, at the end of the day, and regardless of whether you're for it or against it, do not attack either of us for having a different opinion. If you're for the PVE servers, don't sit there and attack me. Or if you're against the PVE servers, don't sit there and attack Fez. By all means, have a discussion about it. But let's not get into calling each other names and stuff like that. Right. Guys, let us know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. If this video has been helpful, please smack that like button. If you're new, channel welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, we'll see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. Have a great night.